having a problem with my buttons.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this is all happening. If it's not all happening, at least it's being recorded.
Yeah. This whole technology thing is just...
No, I think we're too old for it, dear. I think we need to sort of go back to sort of flint napping again. Yeah?
I can manage that one. Yeah.
I can't. I can do smoke signals. Should we do smoke signals?
Smoke signals might be better. We can see them from further.
Exactly, yes. So anyway, I do hope some people are here. And I do hope we're there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you all understood all that. And happy equinox to everybody, because it's
Indeed.
being rather nice here.
It's stunningly good here. It's actually hot.
It's hot here too.
To the point where I'm, t-shirt.
I am not quite t-shirt because I didn't get there that far, but I am sort of sitting here with the windows open.
Yes.
And feeling nice and warm. So, well, we'll have to see. It seems like it's a good idea. So here we are, equinoxing. And I managed to get my newsletter out in time. Oh, yes, quick report on that. You can still get through on the old website and email address, but of course it's all changed. And so next newsletter, it will be actually saying www.deertrods.com and me at Deer Trods. So that's otherwise fine. I still do live in the Welsh Marches, just further up them than I did used to, but I hadn't even thought about that. Of course, that's changed since Hamas.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, it's changed now from next time. So otherwise, everything works fine, and you can still get through via the old website and the old emails and all that. So not a problem. So, how are you doing over there, Mrs.?
I'm fine. The assorted livestock and wildlife are fine.
Good.
And I've got some questions for you.
Hides behind teacup.
Tell me all about the new course.
I'm guessing you mean Enchanted Forest.
That's the one.
Well, I have been talking about it a bit before. I think I talked about it really in July.
Quite a while.
Yeah, but it's actually starting. I mean, you can apply now, tomorrow, to go on it. It's up there on the website. And, well, I don't know, what fairy stories have you read?
Off the top of my head, most of them.
Yeah, ditto.
Let's start with Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, it's...
I mean, they go into a forest.
They do go into a forest, and life gets a little bit exciting fairly quickly.
Yes.
Because, being a pair of small children, they are quite attracted when they see this house made of gingerbread.
Indeed.
I think things actually happen before then, but that's the really exciting bit. And so they go and start nibbling it. This wasn't a good idea. I mean, if you have children, please tell them that when they walk into a forest and they find a house made of gingerbread, please don't start nibbling it, because it almost certainly belongs to a witch. And witches have this tendency to get slightly pissed off when you nibble their house. But anyway, they get inside, and all sorts of things happen, really. But they do it, including, like, she starts fattening them up because she thinks they'd be quite good for autumn and winter dinner. And it sort of saves killing the pig this year. So, and of course they're a bit keen because a lot of the fattening up is via gingerbread to start with. But then they cotton on, they get various help from various critters around and people, and they sort of get told that I wouldn't do that if I were you, in a lot of ways, and they do manage to escape. She gets a bit cross. You know what it reminds me of, and that's Baba Yaga.
Yes, absolutely.
It's very, very similar to the Russian tale Baba Yaga.
Yes.
Except that I think the children just wander into the forest, don't they? They're not sent.
In Hansel and Gretel, there's a wicked stepmother.
It's the usual wicked stepmother thing, because it is in Baba Yaga.
Yes. Well, a very convenient plot device is a wicked stepmother.
Well, even the village I grew up in had a wicked stepmother who bumped off her stepdaughter, which was not very nice, but there you go. But no, Baba Yaga is the same. It's only one little girl there.
Yes, and of course nobody nibbled the house.
No, well, it was a house on fowl's legs, so it had the tendency to walk around the forest.
Makes it difficult to nibble.
And anyway, I don't think it was made of anything nibbleable, was it?
No,
not really.
No.
So she gets sent off by wicked stepmother, and go and see your auntie, whatever her name was. Can't pronounce it in Russian. And so the little girl's actually a bit more wary than Hansel and Gretel, and she thinks, I really don't want to go. I really don't want to go. But stepmother threatens her with all sorts of horrors, so she sets off. And she's walking down the road going, I'm scared to death. I don't want to go. I know it's not a good idea. I know Auntie's not a nice person. So I can't remember all the people that she meets, but I think she meets 3 or 4 people on the way, and they give her presents. They give her a comb and a towel. I can remember those. Can you remember any others?
I don't offhand. It's a long time since I read Baba Yaga.
Yeah, I haven't read it recently either.
They certainly give her presents.
I think there was oil. Oil.
Yes.
That's right. Yes, oil for the door, not for cooking.
Yes.
And there was something else, and I can't remember what it was. Anyway, she gets to Baba Yaga's house. Of course, that's her aunt's name. Stupid me. And and knocks on the door and, come in, little one, please come to me, and anyway, she goes in, and well, would you like to draw some water for my cooking pot? And so she does, and there's something that she gives the well there, and the well gives her some advice. I think she goes out to the well, and the well warns her, I think, and says, you be careful and do this, and to give her some advice. Anyway, she goes back in with the water and starts it boiling, and so Baba Yaga's going to boil her up, you see, in the cauldron over the fire. And anyway, I can't remember what happens, but anyway, something happens that enables her to run out. She sneaks to the door, and when she opens the door first, when Baba Yaga opens the door, it goes, just like out of horror films.
Yep.
And she goes, oh, you poor door, you're creaking, it must hurt. So anyway, she goes along, and Baba Yaga's gone out to fix some more in the fire or the food or something. So she's got this little bottle of oil, so she pours a drop of oil on the door's hinges, each one, and the door goes, oh, thank you so much. I've been wanting somebody to do that for hundreds of years. Oh, God, it feels so much better. And she said, that's all right, I didn't like to hear you groaning like that. So anyway, she gets the chance to run away. And Baba Yaga's, of course, never oiled the door, so the door always groans and shrieks and shouts if anybody tries to escape her. But of course, the door's really pleased because the little girl's oiled it. So she goes through, and it opens perfectly silently, and she's out there, and she's on the path, and she starts to run. And she runs, and she runs, and she runs. But, she's only little. And Baba Yaga comes back in. My dinner's gone! And so she's really cross. Now, not only does she have a hut on fowl's legs, which is quite fun, but her means of transport is not a sort of BMW or a Peugeot or anything like that. It's a mortar, that's a cauldrony thing, and a pestle, and if you grind herbs and spices, that's what you grind herbs and spices in. But hers is huge. And so she rides in it, she jumps in it, and she starts beating it with the pestle, like this. And it rises up in the air, and it flies off, and because it can fly rather faster than little girls can run. So she said, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I think a squirrel pops out next to her and says, throw down the comb, throw down the comb. So she throws down the comb, and it immediately grows into this huge pine forest. And Baba Yaga can't get through, and the pestle can't get high enough to go over it. So she has to go back and think of something else. And the little girl's running through the forest. And she gets out the other side. And Baba Yaga's found another way round. And it's pounding along in the mortar and pestle. And getting closer. And so another little critter says, throw down the towel, throw down the towel. So she does. And it immediately turns into this enormous, giant river. And Baba Yaga can't get across again. So she runs and runs and runs and runs. And is it then that she manages to get home, or does something else happen? I can't remember. Anyway, there might be another event.
The moral of the story is there, yes.
Yeah. She eventually does get home. Unfortunately, the first person she runs into is not her horrible stepmother, but her dad, who, frankly, I think was a bit of a twit for marrying the stepmother, but there you go, they do this kind of thing. Anyway, he says, darling, what's happened? You look awful. And she says, I was nearly killed, I was nearly eaten, Baba Yaga nearly ate me. And so I have this feeling that Dad actually gets a modicum of sense and chops his wife's head off.
Quite frequently does happen that way, at least in fairy stories.
Yes. You do get into trouble if you do it outside. But anyway, so she's saved. But she goes into the forest and she has adventures which make her grow up a lot and learn a lot. And she communicates with the little animals and with the forest and with the trees and with the door and with the house itself. And these are things we don't do much in the modern world. Well, most people don't do much. Fiona and I do it all the time, I'm afraid. We drive our friends insane and start talking to your car, and they go, who are you talking to? The car, of course, you fool. Doesn't everyone? And anyway, so you do. And of course, that's something you learn to do in the old ways. But one of the big things that happens with all these fairy stories, because Hansel and Gretel come out and they're much more aware and they're not so la 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 la. And the little girl in the Russian story is more grown up. She was quite grown up to start with, but she was more grown up when she came out. And this is what happens when you go on a journey in the Enchanted Forest. So, does that help?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, tell me more about the course.
Well, the course is you go on a journey into the Enchanted Forest.
And how long is it?
Well, it's rather up to you, but there are 7 lessons. And we do seriously, because Fiona's had a look at this too, just to check that I'm not making any typos, which I probably am, and that it does make some kind of sense, which it probably does. So we suggest that you do each lesson over at least 1 season. That's a Celtic season, like from autumn to Samhain, say, or Samhain to midwinter.
Roughly 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah, about 6 or 7 weeks. Some of them are 6 weeks and some of them are 7 weeks. And I do tell you about that in the course, so you can work out which ones are which. But if you want to take 2 seasons doing it, fine.
Yeah.
And, you know, you might do the first one. You might be, oh, that's fine. I'm really feeling good about this when you get to the end of it. And that's the end of 1 season. But the second one, you go, ooh, I think I need to do a bit more with this. So you take 2 seasons over it. But there isn't a time scale that you must have it done by. This is all up to you, like pretty well everything on Deer Trods, isn't it? I don't think we've got any. Well, the only things we've got timelines for are the apprenticeship, and what have you got timelines for?
Well, you get a new lesson in the runes every month.
Yeah. And there probably will be in animal shamanism.
There will be with the animal shamans, yes.
Yeah, because that's got lots of interactive work and is probably going to have a workshop at Fiona's as well in that. The Enchanted Forest doesn't have, it doesn't have a workshop here. So it is wide open and you can do it yourself. But I do suggest too, you go and do lots of it outside.
If you can find a forest, better yet.
Well, even better. But I mean, well, let's think. Now, what's the definition of a forest, Fiona?
You want the medieval legal description?
Yes, let's try play with
It's
that
an
one.
area restricted for hunting by the knobs.
Yeah, well, we can always go and kill a few knobs on the way. I'm sure most of us feel like that. Especially
the forest is a hunting preserve by the Anglo-Saxons and the Norman lords.
Yeah, a bit different between the two as well. The Anglo-Saxon lot weren't too bad, and the Normans were pretty horrible. But anyway, so Exmoor, where I come from, as you probably know, is called Exmoor Forest. But you actually won't find too many trees on it. I mean, there are.
There are trees, yeah, quite a lot of trees.
Quite big woods,
yes.
But there's also lots of open space as well. And where I actually live now, the house here was apparently a forest. And it's not anymore, it's a farm. But up on the Long Mynd, there were lots more trees once. But not now. It's lovely, long, open moorland space. Really beautiful. So that counts as a forest too.
This is true. True. There are lots of similar forests with no trees in Scotland.
There are, yeah.
Yes. So perhaps we should extend our definition of forest and say a place without too many houses.
Yes. I think that's a good one. And a place where you are likely to possibly at least smell a fox, possibly even see one, maybe see some deer, maybe see a badger, depending on the time of day you go out.
Have plenty of birds.
Lots of birds, squirrels, little mice, dormice, weasels, hopefully.
Not very many dormice this far north, but yes.
Yeah, no. I mean, we're dormouse country still here. Yes. But wood mice you get.
Yeah, wood mice,
variation. Yeah. And, fish, insects, butterflies, dragonflies, somewhere where wildlife is. Because it makes a difference. I've done this before with students. I haven't actually done this with you and students, have I, Fiona, yet?
Don't think so.
No. I mean, we do it for ourselves when we go out.
Yes.
That's different. But I have done it before with students, and they really get it. It gets like the fairy stories that a leaf tells them to do something.
Oh, yes.
Or a twig. Or a bird suddenly sings. They look up and then they see what it is that they need or want, or where they're supposed to go. A river will start talking to you, as it trickles along. And so we really recommend that you go out to these places. It is structured, isn't it, Fiona?
Yes.
But I don't go around giving you a lesson, and the lead meditations are not very suggestive. I mean, they are, and I sort of say, right, this time you're going to go out and meet the stone people. Or I said, remind me to talk about that in a minute. So you're going to talk about you're going to meet stone people. So I'll sort of take you there and then give you some drumming, probably, in case you want to do it at home. But of course, you don't have to. You could go out to your favourite place by a river or on top of a hill or something and let the wind take you. So it's very much less structured than, going on a more normal, like, core shamanic journey where you're going to meet your familiar, bang, 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 bang. It won't be like that. But there will be plenty of stuff that will encourage you on the way, sort of like this time you're going to meet, say, the stone people.
So you set the scene and then it's improvisation from there on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and not just improvisation, but allowing nature to show you.
Yes.
So
I was thinking in theatrical terms there.
Well, yeah. Hopefully you're not going to turn this into a theatre production.
No.
Oh God, help us! But it does. It's up to you to listen to what Otherworld are going to offer you, and it won't be the same as they would offer anybody else.
This is always true with Otherworld.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, you can't go on a standard journey to meet stone people. Because the stone people might say, oh, I don't want to do that with her. I'm going to do this. And they will. So, yeah, I was going to say about that, wasn't I? Because it's the 7 lessons. We start off with some preliminaries. This is on the website already, and you can go straight in and look at this without signing on to the course. So you can look at the background of the course, and then you can look at the format of the course and the preliminary stuff that we say. It's a good idea if you've done this, that, and the other thing, because you'll need them on the journey. Hence the sort of silver and gold lessons. We don't have to teach you everything twice, and you don't have to waste all that time. You've already done that, so straight into the next bit. But the 4 major parts of it run with roughly the 4 elements. So I call it the stone people and the water folk and the air folk and the fire folk. Now, stone people, somebody said to me the other day, is this something you have heard? Stone people, well, that's the crystals, isn't it? And apparently, I didn't know this, you see how backward I am. When you talk about the stone people, you're talking about crystals. Well, I'm not.
No, I won't. I've never have either.
No.
I talk about crystals, I talk about crystals.
Exactly. I mean, yes, they're part of the mineral kingdom.
Yes.
But for me, I don't know if it's the same for you, but for me, it's things like the literal rocks and stones in the path, the tors on Dartmoor, for instance, and the few that are on Exmoor, and there's the great big rock forms in Scotland that we've been past, and of course, stone circles, stone rows.
The liths of all descriptions.
Absolutely. And some of them have been carved. I mean, where Fiona lives in Aberdeenshire is Pictish land. And so I just adore the Pictish stones and their carving. It's fantastic.
There's also, I can immediately think off the top of my head, there's a stone circle, 20 miles from here, where one of the uprights is jasper.
Wow.
So it's both a standing stone and a crystal.
Yeah. And our ancestors knew this and they put it there. We must talk about that another time. And the sound and all the stuff from, Oh, interesting one we're going to do on that. You'll like it. But yes, our ancestors knew. And so the stone people, when you go out to meet them, they will literally be the stones in your path.
Yes.
A stone circle. We've got stone circles here, and we've got tor-like formations and rock-like formations here. And wow, they are.
It could equally be a pebble on the path.
It could. Yes.
So you have to have your mind open when you do these things.
And you're walking along saying, I'd like to meet the stone people. And you might, I've had this happen to me. I've tripped over one, literally. Bonk. Usually caught myself. And you think, right, I obviously wasn't paying sufficient attention there. Who are you? I'm sorry I kicked you. Always a good idea to do things like that. So then you find out all sorts of things, and the stone says, well, look, if you looked off to the left here, there's my mates down there. You ought to go and visit him and see them like that. So it's going to happen for you like that. But I help you along, and Fiona helps me along, and she helps you along too. So that's not too bad. We can handle that. And so the first one is the stone people, which is earth, the element of earth. This is, the old TV series from America, Third Rock from the Sun.
Yes.
That's our address. And it is. And this is what it is. So you're going to meet the people of the earth. Not Mother Earth. She might turn up, but it's more likely to be, her friends and relations who are going to come in and help you. And they'll also test you.
Oh, yes.
And it won't just be like you fell over this rock. It'll be interesting stuff like you think a certain thing's going to happen, and it doesn't. Quite a different thing happens, and you've got to deal with it on your feet. But you also don't go in there on your own. At the beginning, you meet what I've called your mentor, a wise old figure. Can be anything. It might be a horse, it might be a tree, it might be a person. It might be male, it might be female, it might be ambidextrous. Just a couple of ours are. So this wise old person, and they will offer you advice, but they won't come with you. But they will introduce you to someone who will. And when I was doing the psychology work years ago, my teachers there used to call that, it's very similar in this to a lot of the work that Jung does or did. And they called the being who helps you along the way your talisman. And it wouldn't just be a little, I haven't got a talisman to hand. Have I got a talisman to hand? No, I haven't. It wouldn't just be have you got a talisman there?
Not instantly within reach.
Right, okay, don't worry about it. Anyway, it wouldn't just be a little thing. I have got one. Excuse me. You see, I'm totally incompetent here. There's a couple I've got, actually. Sorry about the bowl. There we go. I mean, there is one.
Yes.
And I just adore that. And of course, that was a talisman for a horse.
Yes.
It was one of the things for a horse once, but I love that. So it's not going to be, it might be something like that, but it might not be. It might be living. It might be a squirrel. It might be a rat. It might be a dog, whatever. And the other one I've got actually is a crystal. And am I doing this? Can you see?
Yes, I can see the crystal. A little crystal pyramid.
Crystal pyramid, and one of my favourite bits. And it might be that. It might be a stone that you pick up. But probably it'll be something living who readily you can talk to. And they'll put the more difficult things, like talking to a crystal, a bit further on in the course. This is otherworld work.
Yes.
I mean, it might be a raven. Raven is one of the animals I work with, so it quite often is a raven who comes to me and says, come on, this way. So you will meet them through your mentor. And then you'll set off. Oh, there's a big one, isn't there now? Because don't think that you are going to trundle down a nice wide path and find a gate and open it. No. If you do that, you will come unstuck almost immediately. You have to find, with the help of your talisman, you have to find your own way into the forest. And that can be, well, it's a whole adventure on its own.
Indeed.
That is your first adventure.
First find your threshold and then cross it.
Indeed, yes. There's your talisman. So we have
the dog complaining. Yes,
we have a talisman here.
Yes,
and yours might as well. You never know.
She's complaining she can't get under the duvet because the other dog is lying on it.
Life is hard when you have a lot of animal familiars around, real ones.
Yes.
So, and then we go on to the water people. And again, this is all the water folk, like the various nymphs and the ondines and fishes, newts.
Yes, frogs.
Frogs, little amphibians, all sorts. Critters that live in the water. And they will teach you so much. I'm going to tell you what they're going to teach you, but because I don't know, actually. They'll choose that when you get there. And then you go through them. And there will be people who help you. Stone people who help you and stone people who challenge you.
Yes.
And there will be water people who help you and water folk who challenge you. And as you achieve with the stone folk, you move into the next lesson and go on to the next thing.
Right.
And then you work your way through the water and you manage all your challenges and get out of any pits that they've thrown you into.
Yes.
You do. And you come to the end of it and go, cup of tea, and you move on to the air folk. Now, that includes birds, obviously, and insects, and wind.
I'm going to have to sort the dogs out.
And you can come back in a minute. There's a panic going on. I'll carry on talking about the air folk. You better come back fairly soon, because I'm going to talk about your friends.
Right. Sorry.
So you work through the air folk. You might well go flying with some of them. This is quite possible. Or you might find yourself, in a hole in a tree, with an owl, or in a hole in a bank, maybe with a kingfisher or something like this. And, wow, what's going on here? And it says, come over and meet the kids, meet the wife. And so you go back with them to meet the kids, meet the wife, and you learn so much because you're invited into this creature's place. And the same happens with the stone people and the water people, of course. And then you get through that. Oh, gosh. I think I'll go on holiday before I start the next one. And fair enough. And you get to the final, the last of the four, which is the fire folk. These definitely do include dragons.
Yes.
There's lots of other fire folk too. There's salamanders and flames and fireflies and all sorts of, which there's a bit crossover there, but they are fire creatures. But Fiona has quite a personal interest in dragons, since she's actually descended from one.
This is true, yes.
So what about dragons then?
What about dragons? Dragons are guardians. You don't go in with the aim of vanquishing them like, some medieval knight on horseback.
You're not St. George or St. Michael, for God's sake, please, no.
Don't do that. Make friends with your dragons. It's much more productive. They're very wise. They are also inclined to swat you if you turn up and try and swat them first. So make friends with your dragons and ask them what they're guarding. If they think you're worthy, they will let you know.
Yeah.
And they do guard your treasures for you.
They do. That was another young thing that he knew.
Was, yes.
Yeah, he always said that. And the one that I love, and a good way of working with dragons, or at least I think it's not a bad way of working with dragons, is Bilbo.
Indeed, yes.
With Smaug.
Yes.
And he sneaks in. And then he talks to the dragon for ages. And eventually is able to snitch the, can't remember what it is. Anyway, whatever it is.
The first time.
Yeah, he snitches it. And is able to get out. Now, this is where things go a little bit awry. It had to, of course, for Tolkien's story.
Yes.
But I would suggest that you don't necessarily steal something from a dragon.
No, if you prove yourself worthy, you'll be given something.
Exactly.
Which is probably going to be far more useful to you.
Mind you, I must admit, Bilbo was taken along as, he was called a professional thief, at least Gandalf was.
He was the burglar, yes.
He's the burglar.
Job description.
And he'd never burgled anything in his life, mind you, but Gandalf thought it was a good idea. So he was stealing for somebody else, and you are not going to be doing that. But he started off, he talks with the dragon, and he goes in quietly. Try that. Really, definitely. And you will get through there. You may get quite scared. I was last time I was anywhere near a dragon. But you do get through, and you come out the other side. And then you're into the last bit of the forest. You actually get to the center of the forest, because this is going through levels of the forest. Levels of difficulty, levels of how thick it is, how beautiful it is, and all that kind of thing. You get to the center. And at the center, now have I got this here? I'm not quite sure. Yes, I do. And you will get here.
The world tree.
Yeah. At the center of the forest is the world tree. In the center of our ancient labyrinth, the Troy Town. And you're going to have to go in there. Now, I suspect you can guess how to get into the labyrinth, how to get into the tree. Yeah, you got to walk the labyrinth. And that's a bit like the forest all over, but
Yes.
you will.
Challenges within challenges within challenges.
Challenges, indeed. And some of them are quite subtle. And you will meet. Follow back a bit.
Yeah, that's good. Yes.
And she will not only pat you on the back, but she will also help you, your final bits. You'll probably understand who you are by then. But she will check you out and you can check it out with her. Because all the way through, you're finding you. You're coming up to things that you didn't think you could do.
Yes.
So you're doing them. And you're finding your way through. And you're learning stuff. And so you're getting bigger and more inclusive of everything. And that's what the journey's about. And I just realized I've got a rather nice mentor figure here on the back. This is Cheska Potter's cards again. But there is a rather nice mentor figure that you might meet. So, yeah, I'm not saying it will be, but it might be. Yes. It could be, sort of thing. So, and when you get there and you've checked out with the ancestor, you come home. Except, as Ursula Le Guin says, you can always go home, provided you realize home is a place you have never yet been. Because you are different.
Yes. Yes.
You've changed. So it's not the same home. But it is home. And you will live there. And you will find all sorts of things could change. I mean, in the work that we do, we've had people's jobs and relationships and homes and everything changing. And maybe at first they've been scared. But once they get there and get into it, they say, oh my God, I didn't even realize this was possible.
Yes, we've had a few of those.
Well, we've done a few of those ourselves. But you do, and you become able and capable, and that's what going through the Enchanted Forest helps you to actually do. But you do need a few skills first. It's always a good idea to, really be quite reasonable with your asking and your listening, and you're definitely your earth son, because you'll need that every time.
Yes.
Sit with, because, if somebody offers you some advice, and so you go, what did that actually mean?
Mm.
And we had a lovely one with a student a while back, and she thought she was going to turn right down here, and in this path was a cat. And she'd been following birds throughout her journey, which was, fine, and all that sort of thing. And so she looked at the cat, and was she supposed to go down there? And the cat said to her, if you're looking for birds, I wouldn't come down here. Now, I don't know whether you can see this one, but it doesn't mean don't come down here necessarily. It might. It means exactly what it says. If you're looking for birds, don't come down here. So the thing to do for our student is to say, I don't know whether should I be looking for birds, do you think? And then you start a conversation with whoever it was. In this case, it was a cat, talisman. This is another talisman type thing. And you discover maybe you should be, maybe you shouldn't. So when anybody asks you anything like that, or gives you anything like that, really sit back and think. Don't jump to conclusions. This is back to the listening without interpreting stuff on the silver course again. Because you can go quite wrong if you either did or didn't go down the path with the cat. Yes. I'm not going to tell you which one she did or what happened, but it could be the right one or it could be not. But you've got to question. Yeah, yes. You've got to listen. And work it out and spend a little time. Now, if you met somebody like that in the forest, which you probably will meet somebody like that, that would be a time. So, hang on a minute, I just need to sit down and have a drink. So you sit down and you have your etheric drink or whatever, and you have your talisman with you, your helper, your guide. And you sort of say, what did that cat mean? What do you think? And they'll sort of say, well, why don't you just shut your eyes and put your head back against this tree and work on it for a bit? So you do. And you get an idea. And so you try that one out. And then try it with your talisman. And maybe try it with the cat person or whatever it was. And see where you go from there. So your challenges are a lot about working out whether this signpost is one for you to follow or whether it isn't. It won't necessarily mean that you have to fight dragons or unicorns or whatever kind of thing. Or that, stone people are going to roll a boulder down on top of you. I mean, they might try, but then most things in Otherworld do things rather more subtly than that.
And more constructively.
Yes.
They're not out to get us.
No.
They are out to make us grow.
Yes.
There's quite a nice quote from Eleanor, I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt, President Roosevelt's wife.
Yep.
Said, you never know how strong a woman is until, like a tea bag, you drop her in hot water. That's what they like to do with us. They like to drop us in hot water.
They do. And they do this all the time. And just to see what you do, or even sometimes if you let them drop you into hot water.
That's true, yes.
Because sometimes, no, I'm not doing that one. No. Let's sit down and talk about this before we go any further with that. So there's going to be quite a lot of that you will be learning with all these different people who have so much to teach you. So I think it's great fun.
It certainly sounds like it. It will be a challenge and a pleasure, and people will come out knowing who they are. Yeah. That sounds excellent.
And it's one that you can do lots of times if you want to. I mean, once you've done it once, you can probably take yourself on your own journey because you'll understand it a bit better.
Yes.
So you never stop, do you?
No. We go around the spiral. And we repeat again and again. And each time we grow a little.
Yeah.
It's like a tree growing through the years.
Yes.
Go around the seasons and you're a little bit bigger. Yeah. And a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And you go around again and a little bit bigger.
Yeah. And all the things that you learned are held in that tree ring. And so you've got them inside you. Oh, and we don't leave you all on your own either, do we?
Oh, no. No, we don't do that.
No. What we've it's only recently started, but we've got students on it already. We have a private Facebook group for Deer Trods Tribe members.
Yes.
And if you sign on to Enchanted Forest, you can either become a gold member and get 30% off, which is fine, or you can pay the whole price. I do suggest you do the membership thing because then that gives you access to all the tools and the skills that you will need to take you through the forest.
And those skills and tools are worthwhile in themselves.
Oh, they are. Yes.
They're life skills that will improve your way through life enormously.
I mean, they help you not just with Otherworld, but with the bank manager or the garage, or even your husband. Let's not push it too far. Okay. But they help you with your relationships, your job, probably even your driving. So then, like everything from the old ways, we don't separate Otherworld from everyday life.
No, everything is everything.
Yeah. It really isn't. And so what you learn, through the silver and gold, you'll take into every day. And you'll certainly need those skills when you go into the Enchanted Forest, because I don't give them to you extra as part of the course. I do say, go and learn these, please, because You'd be doing the course for centuries. At least it would take me centuries.
Well, you wouldn't get as much out of it as you should.
Yeah, you wouldn't. So it is worth that. And as members, you come to the Facebook group and you say, help, I just met this very large stone and it's blocking my way, and I've tried asking it in all sorts of different ways and I don't know quite what to do. And so we and your fellow students, because that's the other thing, we all learn together, will be able to offer you ideas for you to try out. Are you as bad as me at not giving answers, Fiona?
I try to be.
Mm.
One of my very best university tutors always used to answer any question with, I don't know, what do you think?
And my father...
And it did make me learn more.
It did. My father always used to answer questions with, that depends.
Yes.
And it is a habit I picked up from him. Irritating, possibly, but useful.
Yes.
Because I'd rather you learned, in fact, we'd both rather you learned how to find your answer rather than you learn one by rote from us. I'm not you. Thank the gods. Well, you thank the gods. Definitely. But I'm not you. And I'm not in your situation.
Mm.
But I may have ideas that, well, have you tried this? How about you do that? And Fiona does the same. She does it to me. Awful. All I want is a sort of like, you know, how do I make this cup of tea? Well, how's about you sort of, no, it's not what I wanted.
But it is what you needed.
Indeed, indeed. And you are allowed to sort of, yeah, and scream.
Absolutely.
On the Facebook page, quite allowed. Everybody does it. If you do it, you get over it quickly and you stop messing about with your digestion as well. So
yes. Yes.
So there it is, and it is now open. So do apply.
Yes.
Well, I'd like it if you all apply, but if you could all manage not to quite do it at once.
Oh, yeah, yes. Well,
I won't be able to answer you all at once, probably. But I will get back to everybody, you know, ASAP within the next couple of days if you want to apply. And I think everything that you need to apply is on the website. Fiona,
yes.
could you actually go and have a look at the website when we finished here and just check that I haven't left anything out that
I will.
Can get through?
Yes.
We use each other like this, and it's always worth it. Do this with your talisman, because I've just written this thing, so I know what it should look like. And every time I read it, I will read what it should look like, not what it actually looks like. Fiona hasn't. She'll read what it actually looks like. And she says, yes. You didn't mean that.
I have been known to do this, yes.
Yes. I did manage to make one glorious cock up on it the first time round. So.
Well, yes, you did.
Yes. But I have corrected that now.
Yes. That's what proofreaders are for.
Indeed. And so we will double check it this afternoon and make sure that everything is fine. So that was the Enchanted Forest.
Indeed. And it sounds like a very good, fun course.
I hope so.
Yes.
And I hope we're going to have fun with the students on it.
Yes.
That's part of our...
We look forward to seeing everyone there.
We do. I have two little announcements to make.
Go on.
Well, one is that I spoke with... Do you guys remember our Australian shaman friend, Chip, who went to Mongolia? Well, this morning, his daughter gave birth to their first grandchild.
That's
so she has a fantastic little equinox baby, and it's a girl.
Yes.
And we don't know what she's going to be called yet or anything else about her, but he left us a message this morning that that's happening. And he also left a message that soon, like give it a couple of weeks so that he can get over his first joys of grandchild, but he wants to come and do a three-way with us talking about dragons.
Yes, that would be good.
Because he's a dragon person, Fiona's a dragon person, and I like them as well. So we're going to do that. And just reverse, we're talking about, stone circles. and
Yes.
sound and vibrations and all sorts of things about them. We will organise to talk about that. I don't know if it'll be next time or the time after. We're definitely getting organised because Fiona's writing it down. I can see that.
Yes.
And it's fascinating. I did some work on this with some real scientists, you know, like inorganic chemists and physicists and all sorts of people like that back in the 70s. And what they found out tells you so much about our ancestors.
It does.
It does.
It does.
So we will talk about that in one very soon.
A future episode.
Yeah.
Keep tuning in every Sunday, folks.
We'll try and warn you beforehand what we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay, guys. Lovely to see you. Thank you very much. And we will see you again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.